but you
Sure,
just get used to it.
sure.
Yeah, an hour and
So
a
yeah.
half. So Pragati, everybody go follow her. Her link is underneath this video or audio if you're listening. Pragati Chaudhary? I never asked
Yes.
your last name.
It's Pragati Chaudhary. Yes.
Perfect.
Uh-huh.
I was just telling Pragati before the podcast that there's a really good bookstore literally on your commute between Austin and San Antonio, right? Or
Mm.
not quite. You have to go a little bit out of the way, I think,
So
faster.
the,
Well, you
the
need to
hour
take the exit.
Yeah,
the
there you
hour and a
go.
half
Yeah.
the hour and a half commute one way becomes 3 hours because you're gonna browse and you got to
Yeah,
get
you're gonna
there.
read, one day when you have like a, I don't know, leave early or maybe on the weekend. So how did
Yeah.
you're a CRA Academy student. Tell us a
Yes.
little bit about your background, and then there's no he telling where this interview's headed. Maybe it's into books, or maybe it's into your career, or maybe everything in between.
Yeah. So I'm from India and I went to medical school there. And then I was working there for a while. I have worked in like different fields like medicine, surgery, and I have my favorite part was when I was working in medical oncology for 2 years. That is when I actually helped work with my attending doctor on a research on head and neck cancers for a drug called cetuximab. So we published that paper. So that was my first kind of introduction to clinical research, and I liked it. And after that, I moved to the US, and well, I was preparing for the USMLE, and then a little into it, I realized I don't want to do that anymore. So I just uh, wanted to pivot in my career, but I didn't want to leave my medical background because I didn't want that knowledge to go to waste. So then I actually came across your videos.
Hmm.
And yes, that was a big, big help. And I was thinking what to do. Will I go back to school or, continue something in clinical research? Then I started researching more about this field. And that's when I got to know about the CRC and the CRA Academy. And then I just took the course for the CRA
Site,
Academy.
whatever
And
site
yeah,
has you is so lucky. I mean,
yeah.
international medical graduate is like the best in a vacuum. It's the best archetype for a coordinator and eventually anything you want to do. If, and the big if, they have a good attitude, because we've employed a lot of IMGs and not all of them have humility, I think. And just
Mhm.
talking to you, I can already hear that you have it and
Mhm.
you were raised the right way, if nothing else. I mean,
I
the
got to tell my parents that.
not every IMG has your attitude, A lot of them are know-it-all, and I mean it kind of negates some of their good qualities because IMG, of course, who wouldn't want a coordinator that's a doctor?
Yeah,
The only
that's
thing
very
not
true.
making them be a doctor is like geography, but like they're they're a doctor. So
Yeah,
congrats to you for that and for having
thank you.
humility as well. I think that's gonna take you far, actually.
Thank you so much. And well, I saw a lot of your videos, and I always had this thing stuck in my mind that IMGs make great CRCs, and also there were like two other things that you told that you continuously tell is that start from a smaller research site. That's the place where you're going to learn the most amount of work, what exactly you have to do in this field. And reading everything in the books is different, and actually going to do that practically at a research site is different. So that just stuck with me. And you also said that you will start small. And it's okay. You're going to struggle for 6 months or maybe a year, and then it's going to just take off. And those things just stuck with me. And yeah, I just kept that in mind and I just went in, all in.
Wow. I
So thank you
mean,
for that.
another great student the CRA Academy produced, another great alumni. You were great before you took the course, but clearly it's helped and made you a really good candidate. Like I said, I mean, it's a no-brainer to, if I were the site owner, if you lived in Yuma, you'd be working for me. Let's just put it that way. Um,
I actually used to live in Arizona before this.
But not Yuma though. That'd be
Oh
very.
yeah, I mean yeah, but then I used to live in Arizona
Where
before
in
I left
Phoenix
here.
or
Yes, Phoenix.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean 90% of the state lives in Phoenix. I think.
Yeah.
I mean this is very good. Now, why so far is Austin is kind of a weird place when it comes to research sites, I think.
Yes. I could not find a lot of jobs here, so yeah. But San Antonio has a lot of them.
I know, and that's
Yeah.
so strange because I think it has to do with the healthcare systems in Austin maybe and the University of Texas being right there.
Hmm.
So, but there is a site in Austin. They're a big one now. I forgot the name, but they're I think Clinical Trials of Texas, I want to say, or something. And
Yeah.
it's been sold a few times, and I don't know if private equity owns it. There's gotta be smaller sites. Like the first time I've been to Austin was in 2020, right before COVID, and then the second time I went was just last month. And in
Okay.
those 4 years. That place blew up. Like it is huge now. It wasn't
Yeah.
that big when I went there just 4 years ago. It was still like a medium-sized town. Now it's like a huge, like suburbs that just expand in every direction. It wasn't like that before. And so I think there's an opportunity in Austin if anyone's watching for a side ownership.
Hmm.
Maybe saying this for a reason. Chris knows why. Wink, wink, but
Sure.
maybe not.
I was thinking Pragati should start going out and speaking with physicians that own clinics and say, "Hey,
Whoa, whoa, she just
you,
got hired.
you
Let's
ever thought about extending your revenue offerings?
Her employer is
We could
likely
talk
watching.
research."
Yeah,
Listen,
I would. Yeah, my employer, if she watches
her
that, I'm
her
like,
employer is likely watching. Employer, whoever you may be,
She'll
first of all, you're
she'll she'll
smart.
stay with her employer for at least 6 months.
Yeah, first of all, employer, you are smart. Second of all, Pragati is a keeper. So if I have someone like Pragati and she eventually wants to open a site, which we don't know yet, but I would encourage her to do it and partner with her, expand your own clinic, because that's another way to do it too. Every
Sure.
site I know wants to expand or at least is interested in expanding. And if it makes sense, it boils down to do you have the
yeah.
people to
Mhm.
manage it? Just like the reason why the Roman Empire couldn't expand indefinitely is manpower. Like technology wasn't there, so it was literally how far can you control with people. And so
Exactly.
you are a member of that organization living in Austin.
Yeah.
It only makes sense.
Yeah, that's true. Hmm.
But we don't even know that about her,
We
Chris.
don't know. I've just started. So,
Yeah.
yeah, let's
So
see where it takes.
what is your goal at this point? Is it to become a CRA or stay at site level? What do you think
Uh,
your ultimate goal is at this point?
well, ultimate, I don't know yet the ultimate goal, but yes, owning a research site is there in my
Mhm.
mind. After actually watching my site owner function as she functions, I'm like, yes, that is something maybe I want to do in future. But as of now, I want to learn as much as I can. I'm still new to the industry, so I'm learning every day, every moment, every day, like it's a new day, and every study is different. So yeah, learning as much as I can, and let's see where it takes me from there. CRA is being a CRA. Yes, it is there. I went to the CRA Academy because I wanted to be a CRA. So learning as much as I can in this, and then looking for jobs in CRA industry. I mean, hopefully get one job in that way, and then yeah, probably in the future own a site.
Yeah, there you
Um,
go.
yeah.
Wow.
That has been there. We have had that discussion at home. But let's see where it goes.
So
Yeah.
I've never thought of this, Dan, but would you recommend, because I think I would, if someone were new into the industry as a CRA, right? They'd been hired as a CRA, and generally speaking, CRAs change employers every year or two, right? To get those raises.
Not that often, but
Okay,
yeah,
two or
during
three.
during the heydays, yes. Right now,
Okay.
I would say that's not the case so much.
Would you say, let's say you were planning on being a CRA for 8 years, right? And maybe changing position or employers, excuse me, 4 times. Would you recommend making connections if your ultimate goal was to own your own site, like finding out who's responsible for
Of
research, so
course.
research departments and making connections and friends and
Of course. And the CRAs that don't even want to be CRAs already do that, the ones that are curious. And then in their pursuit of doing this, just to appease their curiosity, they realize that they can do it. And like we've had many clients like this who have
well,
kind of learned the lay of the land, what's
mhm.
going on, and not because they want to be a site owner. And then after a while, they're like, well, why not?
Well, you would be surprised
Yeah.
how many CRAs I speak with that do not know who at their company they're currently employed at is
Mhm.
responsible for selecting sites and things of that nature.
Oh yeah, because it's like these are monstrosity
Yeah, that's my point
organizations.
though. Like
Yeah.
maybe finding out what department this would be because the title changes from company to company. So
Ah, I see. I see your question. I interpret it as the
no,
CRAs know the local sites and who's in
how to
charge.
directly help your
Yeah,
own site,
I see.
right? Make those
Yeah.
connections while you're employed.
Yeah, it'd be tough to do because you're kind of given so much work as a CRA. Pragati, you might like CRC a lot better than CRA. I mean, I know the pay's better, but it's a very stressful job to be a CRA. I think coordinator is
Yeah.
much more manageable, and I'm not sure if you have a family or anything, but like even more so if for those people that do, having children and things like that. So it makes it a lot easier from a work-life balance to be a coordinator and even to be a site owner, in my opinion. I've been both. I've been all three. Coordinator,
Yeah.
site owner, CRA. I think
Yeah.
CRA is the hardest by far. By
Yeah.
far.
I do realize that. Um, it's there in my list. I'm not sure if I'm gonna go down that route,
Yeah.
but yeah, um, if having a chance, maybe I would like to do that too, because we have
Yeah.
like CRA visits on our sites, and I see like how stressful their work is.
Oh yeah. And you only see
Yeah,
like at your site. I mean, it
yeah,
replicate that by like 5 sites or 7
hmm
sites, however many sites they have.
yeah.
I mean, it adds up, and but it's so awesome that you were able, like, was your job search difficult for you?
It was
Mm,
in the beginning, and then this year I had like 3 interviews, and this was the third one. And
okay.
I got hired for this. And so yeah, I was actually very happy that I got this job because this was the coordinator job, and this job was everything that I wanted.
Yeah.
Uh, the kind of job, the research site, and everything. So yes, it was a no-brainer for me to just say yes to this one.
What was difficult about your job search? Because I see you graduated CRA Academy last year, right? August.
Yes,
Well, you joined the August 23 class. So that's 3 months, and then it's, generally 3 months of internship. And in your case, it took like a year really to
yes,
find
yes.
the right position.
I think it was since I was like this was would have been my like first job.
Hmm.
So that was a part of the difficulty. I used to get like calls, but I mean, the job market was not that great, so it would never go any further. And then I got an interview for a job in Houston, but I think that did not work out. Then there was a job in Austin.
Hmm.
Well, that almost worked out, but they kind of just froze the hiring and
Was
in
that a
fact,
coordinator as well?
that was for an assistant job. That was a clinical research assistant job. And then they called me that, okay, they're considering you. They're going to call you. I was like, okay. And they never called me back. And later on, I found out that the hiring for that position froze for whatever reason.
So was that
So
with a site or a sponsor?
uh, it was a site. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So then I got this call, and then, yeah, within a week, they called me for an on-site interview. So I went there, and yeah, within a week, I just joined.
Okay, so you had a
So
few,
this one was,
you didn't maybe have any necessary rejections, but you've had either just nobody replying back,
yeah,
is probably the most common, right?
yeah.
How many jobs do you think you applied to, would you
Oh
say,
my
in
God,
that year?
I have lost count for it.
Like 100 or less or
Maybe
more?
more than that.
Wow.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
job to get a job. This is what we keep
Well,
telling
yeah.
people.
And
It's a 9 to 5
especially
before you start your 9 to 5. So
you got in unlucky timing because
Right now
like
it's
a year
difficult.
before you, like the market was hiring like frenzy,
Hmm.
mhm.
and then you kind of got at the transition of where no more like hiring frenzy and only the sites. But you're proving that it's doesn't really matter because you're still in, and once you're in, and especially with you,
Yeah.
like does what kind of studies does your site do? This sun.
So I currently have like a hypertension study, osteoarthritis study. I have a
Oh,
gastroparesis
nice.
study. I have a thyroid eye disease study. There is lupus study going on. There is AFib study going on. So there are
Whoa,
quite a lot of studies. Yeah.
sounds like an active site.
Yeah. It's a pretty
Yeah,
active site. Yeah.
GI, cardiology, and some other therapeutic area that I forgot.
Yeah.
Room.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome. How many coordinators are there with you?
Currently, we are three, and
Oh,
there is a
nice.
hiring process for one more.
So
So
there's
yeah.
gonna be four. It's kind of like UMA clinical trials. Probably the same. Sounds like the same size-ish.
Hmm.
Uh, it's pretty cool. So
Yeah.
is it a newer site or have they been around for a while
They've
or
been around for a while. Yeah.
okay.
Plans on moving to San Antonio?
I
Mm.
don't know.
You know what's a
Well,
good
I'm
area?
just,
New Braunfeld or whatever it's called.
I looked into moving to San Antonio for about 3 months. There's some nice areas there.
So the
Definitely.
growth
yeah,
is between the two.
yeah.
Between Austin and San Antonio is where the value is. Because
Hmm.
those cities are connecting gradually over time. And so there's a place called New Braunfeld,
Yeah.
Is
San
that
Marcos.
is that north? I think I recall that's North San Antonio. And yes, I agree. I looked
Yeah.
into that area. It
Yeah.
was nice.
So from
It's just
Austin
like
to
Phoenix
San
and Tucson.
Antonio, like, yeah, I cross New Braunfels every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's where the like opportunities are in the real estate is like in between two growing cities.
Oh,
Especially like
yes.
hot markets like Texas or Arizona, like finding a in between the growth, trying to predict the growth between two cities is like probably the undervalued place.
Yeah. Yeah, it's growing pretty fast. There
Hmm.
is a lot of construction going
I was
on
blown
everywhere.
away,
Yeah.
blown away.
Yeah.
Like 4 years, and that's like it's like in different city. How long have you been in Austin? Or you said you were in
Two
Arizona
years.
before? 2 years, okay.
2 years.
Well, you've seen
Yeah.
half of that growth. Seen
Oh, yeah,
half of
maybe.
that growth.
I
Uh,
have. Yeah.
So when did you
Well,
immigrate to the States then?
I came here in 2018.
And straight to Phoenix?
Yeah. So my husband
Wow.
was there. So yeah,
Okay, okay.
he's
And no,
been
you
here
were
for a
not
long
able
time.
you didn't know about research yet and
I
at
had
that
some
time?
idea. I mean,
Okay.
as I told you that I did that one research with my attending doctor in back in India that was published later on. So yes, I had the idea, but
Mm.
I never had the plan to get into it, and I did not know how huge this field is.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's when
no one
I
does.
yeah. So once I started looking into it, and your videos helped a lot, that book helped a lot. And yeah, all of that just helped me realize that, okay, this is pretty big.
And
Yeah.
when I
And
say no one does, I mean those that are not in the industry themselves,
Well,
right? David,
even like Pragati, with her academic research and actually doing research in India as a doctor,
right?
the industry side is underestimated by everyone, including those doing the research.
Well, academically, right?
Yeah.
Um, it's overlooked. And even it took 2 years once I entered the industry as a coordinator to really understand how large it is.
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
And
it's
I
just
think,
huge.
now you
yeah,
hear like the duality of it because I kind of understand how large it is. I still underestimate it as far as market cap is concerned, but now you're hearing the opposite from site owners of it's huge, but it's small at the same time, meaning everyone knows everyone. Um,
yeah,
Huge being the opportunities and the money and the career, in various companies, but small meaning we're still understaffed in almost all of the verticals. And so if you go to conferences, you pretty much get to know everybody more or less, which is a very strange dichotomy.
yeah.
Have you been to a investigator meeting yet or
No, I haven't
not
been.
yet?
Yeah,
Walk us through for the people that are still struggling to find, like your current peers in the current CRA Academy. Chris and I just did a final exam Q&A session. They're in the process of doing their final exams right now. They're all excited. They're gonna start the internship, but in your case, it took a year, a
Yeah.
little bit less. Like after you graduated, it took like 9 months, let's say.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen right away, like you thought. And you are a very qualified person. So walk us through that process, the emotions, and then as you get to the interviews, we'll get into more technical
Mhm.
questions there.
Yeah, so it was hard applying for the jobs and never hearing anything back. But I always had my family support, and I kind of knew that it is hard to get your first job. It's not only this industry, in every industry. And I have a lot of friends here who have studied here, who have been here, and them, even for them, getting their first job was difficult. So I was kind of prepared to give it time. Yes, it took me a little longer than what I was expecting. I was thinking maybe like in 6 months I should get a job. It took a little over that, but yes, I just did not allow myself to, like just feel bad or feel sad about it and just give it up. That was not an option for me. So I had to just keep going. And I knew that one phone call is going to come, and that came. So consistency is something that just helped me through. And of course, my friends and family support that helped me get through this. But it is disheartening to not get any phone calls, not get any replies, or just get an automated email that, oh, we just hired somebody else. Yeah. Or like, those emails. So
And you know
it
the
is,
crazy
yeah.
part? Now
Mhm,
that, again, because now you're going to grow exponentially, in my opinion,
mhm,
until you reach the next phase of growth and then it stalls unless you upgrade your skills again. But IMG
mhm,
now becomes very valuable because before your research experience in the industry and especially in the US, your IMG, okay, it's very good, but you don't have research experience here. Nah, it's
yeah,
not so good anymore. Now that you have both, it's exponential. And I've seen this happen so many times in any job market, it doesn't matter. There's so
yeah,
many sites, now there's site networks.
yeah.
Site private equity is consolidating sites. People like you don't just fall off of trees, you're that's something special. And I think what the CRA Academy, what differentiates that from the CRC, and it kind
Mhm,
of happened organically. The CRA is more like generally they're higher educated than the CRC. Although we do have IMGs in the CRC Academy, but for the most part, like RNs, people with masters, PhDs, IMGs, they go in the CRA Academy.
yeah,
And the ironic thing is, they both come out and end up going for the same jobs
yeah.
because right now that's what the market's dictating. So, you're basically getting coordinator roles, but I think that's super important to build your foundation for anything else you want to do, which it sounds like you're still open to explore.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
we've said a number of times the best CRAs were former CRCs. So,
yeah,
and if you're going to be a site owner as well, it's better to be from the CRC angle opposed to the CRA angle. So,
that actually gives you all the nitty-gritty details of the daily functioning of a clinical research site. And even if you don't want to open a site and you want to be a CRA, you know that what the CRCs there are doing,
mhm.
uh, right or wrong or whatever it is. Like because
And you
you've
have
been there.
empathy. You have
Yep.
Yes,
empathy.
you understand the level of pressure that there is, and you know where to look. I think that's what I have realized that when I started working, I did not know like where to look for the details. And now I
Hmm.
know since I have learned so much in even this 1 month, I have learned so much. And it's not just like going and seeing a patient, it's so much more than that. Um,
Yes.
yes, it's
My
everything.
my dad, who's an
Yeah.
IMG as well, he's a
Okay.
doctor from Romania. By the time I was in high school, he finally got his USMLE. I was in 10th grade when he got his residency
Mhm.
done. He told me, and I was in high school at the time, he said, beginners learn the rules and experts learn the exception. And I
Hmm.
think this applies to CRAs as well,
Yeah,
because when you can tell as a site, when you have a new CRA monitoring, they just everything is the same value. This thing is the same. It's just another query. This one's just another query. But those values of those issues are not weighted the same in
yeah,
reality. Like, and then they end up wasting time on the trivial things, and they're giving them equal time to the very important things. Whereas the experienced CRAs, and especially the ones that worked at sites, they know what the coordinators are dealing with, and they say, listen, you have a bunch of mundane things, but what I really want you to do before I leave today, you do this, because this
yeah,
is super important. And I used to do that as a CRA too, and the coordinators appreciated that because I'm not wasting their time with things that they know. I mean, of course you're gonna know query, all right, big deal. But if I found a deviation, I'm not gonna care about you answering those queries until you work on this deviation. That's our
that,
value add for your time.
yeah, that is correct. Prioritizing the work is, it took me a few days to learn that, but yes, I now understand that not everything is equally important and not everything needs to be done at that very moment. You have to know, you have to understand that, okay, fine, I cannot do this today or maybe at this hour, but I need to finish this more important thing. So yeah, like I'm learning that. I have learned that to a particular extent. So yeah, you're absolutely right in that sense.
Yeah, not
Yeah,
everything is equal. Study action items are not equal. They don't have equal
yeah,
rights for study action items.
yeah,
They're
So,
all they're all very in importance.
so as an example, Dan, you would say a transcription error is not the same value as a misrandomization.
Exactly. Why would I
yeah,
waste that coordinator's time even uttering any sentence about it when they can just see in the EDC and fix it, right?
yeah.
Right.
But if I'm gonna waste my breath, like coordinator might have 10 minutes to meet with me. That 10 minutes is all gonna be spent on that
It's
issue,
randomizing.
on the
Yep,
deviation. And if we could try to fix it, try to
yeah,
work towards rectifying the situation as best we can. It's not going to have anything to do with transcription errors. That's first of all, it's insulting too to do that to a
Well,
coordinator.
I've
Like,
seen CRAs do it.
yeah, and they need to be retrained, in my opinion, or get some soft skills or have more expertise.
Hmm.
This is not discussed enough, guys, but Pragati's already learning, and she's only been
yeah,
2 months at a site.
yeah.
What was your job interview like at that site? Like, how did it work? Was it Zoom, in person?
So it was a telephone call interview first, and then it was an on-site interview. So a telephone call interview was just regular questions because the distance was a big thing. So that
Mm,
was discussed, and yes, the experience, and since it's going to be my first job, and how prepared I am to do this, because that is what she wanted to know
yeah.
in the telephone interview, and then the on-site interview was like I was asked about the EDC, I was asked about Alcoa,
Mm.
which I knew from the course. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, and then
Yeah, we offer EDC now too, exposure. Where,
okay,
well, I guess
yes,
we did with BioClinica. You were on BioClinica.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah,
Look,
that's
these
what.
things in the first 2 years of your job,
Mhm.
you need to understand, constantly re-educate on fundamentals. Yesterday, my coordinator, who's been working there now 1 year, we had a patient who had a spider bite, and then it was itching her really bad, so she went to urgent care. They gave her, some simple
Sure.
things it's obviously nothing to do with the study drug, right? Now, plus, she's off of the meds because she has a planned surgery. So she's been off of the study drug for a month. So there's no way you can argue it's
IP
anything to
related.
do with the IP. So I told my coordinator, well, just put it con meds, AE, whatever. And she's like, but even if it's not related to study drug, and I had to sit down with her 10 minutes and go through again, like, do you realize any untoward event is AE? Like, and then I went to Katie, the lead CRC, and I said, listen, she's clearly still fuzzy about certain things. You need to teach her more.
Yeah.
And
Crack,
she's a great
crack the
coordinator. Great
crack the whip,
coordinator. But
Katie.
great
Crack the whip.
coordinator.
Yeah.
Great coordinator has not made any deviations in a year herself. But like they need constant
Huh, Dan's got the whip
refocus.
signal.
Yeah. Well, I think
Not
that
a
is the
whip.
same thing with any field you're working in. I mean, you need to just keep going back and just re-educate yourself. And especially when
Constantly.
you're working on such a sensitive field like clinical research,
Yeah.
you need to be very, very, very well versed with everything
Yeah.
because you're dealing with people. So yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Pragati, where did you find the job opening for
it
your
was on
position?
Indeed.
Indeed. Okay.
Yeah,
Is that all you
Uh,
utilized for your job search?
Indeed and LinkedIn mostly.
Okay.
And all the three interviews that I had were via Indeed. And I did speak to some recruiters. Yeah, one of them was actually through a recruiter, and the other two were via Indeed, like direct.
And how did you come in contact with the recruiter?
Actually, the recruiter messaged me on LinkedIn
Okay,
about
so
this thing. Yeah,
you had your post up on LinkedIn
yeah,
showing that your interest
open
in
to work. Yeah,
put yeah,
yeah.
okay.
So that's how.
yeah, I'm looking
All right.
at your LinkedIn now. I just requested a connection, but yeah, it's very
I think
impressive. I mean, she has CRC, foreign trained medical doctor. Everything is here.
yeah,
What was your
I need to
specialty
update
and
that.
what
Yeah.
was your therapeutic area in India?
So I did not do my residency, but I got out of
Okay.
medical school and I started working.
Senior resident doctor of medical oncology.
So I worked in medical oncology, and yeah, I joined as a junior resident, and then I was promoted within a year to senior resident doctor there. So
Okay, nice.
Amazing. So I guess since 2018, I mean, you when you moved to Phoenix and then you discovered like the videos and the book and you saw, okay, like there's probably an entire industry here.
mhm,
From that till from that birth of the idea to you getting hired, how
mhm.
long would you say that was? How many years?
So I did not try to get into clinical research in 2018 itself. It
Mm-hmm.
was actually after COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Hit and sorry. So that's when I actually decided that I don't want to do medicine anymore, and I don't want to even just waste a single breath on that. I want to do something else, and that's when I started looking. And I think 2022, towards the end, I started looking into the options, and that's when I found you. And 2023, I just got myself into the class,
Mm.
the CRA Academy, and I did that. And yeah, yeah, a year and a half, almost 2 years.
Okay. If you're an IMG watching,
Mhm.
listen, Pragati, I would love an IMG with like a good attitude like you have. And I actually have interviewed one in Yuma, and the attitude, the skills was no denying. No, but the attitude was terrible. And we did a group interview, and he behaved during the interview as if he already had the job.
Oh,
And it's a group interview, so after he left confidently thinking he's gonna get it, and he said something like, message me when I start or something like really confident. Like, and I was like, okay, I mean, geez, this guy's completely clueless. It's not the skill or the education,
yeah,
it's the attitude, the
yeah,
soft skills. And I do think that it takes humility to be an IMG and be considered for lower jobs than what your education's for, but
Hmm.
still be positive about it.
Absolutely. We've worked with a number of
A
IMGs and
number. This
they're
is just the
either
most recent example I have.
they're either
yeah,
excellent coordinators because like you're
Like
saying
Pragati. Yeah.
they have humility. It's not, hey, I'm overeducated for this position.
yeah.
Or it's quite the opposite. This is
Opposite. Yeah,
beneath me
Yeah.
and I'm just doing this as a favor and a stepping stone to get where I want to be.
And at that
mhm,
point, it's defeats the purpose. Like when he left, I was like, wow. And then my lead CRC, who was going to be his manager, as soon as he left, she was like, yeah, no, as soon as I tell him to do something, he's going to argue with me. And I was
And
like, yeah, I definitely can
absolutely,
see I
absolutely.
definitely can see that. And we don't want problems at the end of the day. Like,
Yeah.
as talented as you are, I don't want to ruin my chemistry at my site just because you're not that special, you know? I'd rather have
Yeah.
a cohesive team getting along than having you potentially help me out somehow just because you're a doctor. Like, we already have
And,
doctors anyways. We have PIs.
and not
Yeah.
only that, I would take it a step further. It's even when no medical specialist is there at the site, if you're friendly as an IMG, the other coordinators will eventually learn, hey, you do offer some value in terms of your prior experience and education, and you're friendly. So I don't mind asking you, what do you think, right? What
Yeah.
Right.
do I need to seek further guidance on this, or do you think this is appropriate? Whatever the case might be, right? Whereas if you're kind of off-puttish, nobody wants to talk to you,
I
let
mean,
alone,
it's just going to make life difficult for yourself and for other
yep.
people that you're working with. My In my head, I just knew that I'm starting with a clean slate, not knowledge-wise, but career-wise, and I know I'm starting, and I need to learn. I mean, you need to be curious to learn and always look
Mhm.
at the bigger picture. That it's fine. You need to start somewhere. Even when I
Mhm.
started working as a doctor, my first job was not that big or anything like that. I started as a junior resident, and yeah, I learned my way through. Uh, y- you learn a lot in your medical school, but when you actually go and work with patients, it's totally different. So if you can learn there, you can learn here. I don't see any difference.
So
So yeah,
I'm sure you've met your colleagues that are similar personalities to what I just described. Do you think
there are
that
some.
there are definitely some?
Yeah.
Do you think that having a good attitude can be taught? Like, do you think they can learn this?
Yeah, when they're children.
No, no,
Yeah,
as
I
adults,
mean,
as adults.
yeah, as
No,
adults, I think it's very difficult to teach somebody that because
Yikes.
maybe they can act like that for a day or two, but they are going to go back to
yep,
their real self.
For a
completely
day
Uh,
or
agree.
two. Holy crap.
Completely agree.
even like when I was working back in India, we had like our attending doctors, and some of them I used to enjoy working with because they would understand like if you're stuck somewhere, they're going to help you and they're there for you. While others, they're like, well, I don't care. That's your job. So just do
Wow.
it. I'm like, okay.
See, I think anyone can be changed with
Mm,
if they knew why and they were open to that.
Yeah.
mm.
Like, I think it's not that hard to, I think there's just masks and different, like, I don't want to get into too much philosophy now, but I think
I
it can be. I think most people don't understand that it's hurting them.
I
Yeah.
don't think it's necessarily something you can teach. I think it's something you have to learn, and you learn it from an event, right?
Failure.
Yeah.
Somebody who's off-puttish has to experience in what way it's costing them and harming them, right? Like
Yeah.
substantially experience it, not just something minor, like somebody yells at them because you're rude. No, that doesn't do it. Like it really has to cost you something to learn, hey, this is not beneficial, my attitude.
Hmm.
That's my opinion.
I mean, I mean, I think the higher you get in your positions at work, uh, the more difficult it is to change yourself.
For
Oh yeah.
sure. For sure.
So bigger positions, they're like, whatever I am, they're going to work for me. So
But
yeah.
I've seen
Yeah.
inversely, like good attitude people get started, then they whatever culture in their jobs over the years they become less
Sure.
positive, more
Hardened.
yeah, yeah. So I think it's no matter who you are, it's like the situation can change your personality.
But those people, at least in my opinion, generally it stems from their childhood, right? So if they were good-natured people initially, I think that can be reinstituted,
Hmm.
right? Opposed to someone who never was,
Yeah.
right? It's never been taught. They've never employed it. Yeah, and it's not something you
I
could teach.
totally agree with you, Chris, on that one.
Yeah,
I have,
I have too much
yeah, well,
hope
I
for
mean, we all,
humanity, maybe.
you do.
I think
that's a
people
good
have to
thing.
fail. I think they have to be shown that they're fail. So everyone has like mental models,
Hmm.
like consciously or unconsciously, this is how I should behave in order to get this. then they get it or they don't. Either they get it or they don't get it, and then they either blame others or they realize, well, might be my mental model is wrong, and then they change it. And usually they blame others. But after a while, I would think some of them would realize maybe it's not other people, it's me, and
It's me.
fix it. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a hard realization.
Yeah.
If you are ready to change it, it's gonna work in your favor. Otherwise,
I
yeah.
think it's hard because you have to, like, we know we're gonna die. And the
Mhm.
longer you've been operating that way, the longer you have to realize that you've kind of been wasting your years living in a falsehood. And so you'd rather just not admit that and say, no, no, it's other people's. I can't be wrong. It sucks. But anyways,
Yeah.
what was your interview
Yeah.
like when you got to the site?
Yeah. So it was good. It was technically the questions like research related, the Alcoa thing, and then EDC that what I've worked on before, what research I've done before. And then there were the behavioral questions. What would you do if certain situation comes up? Um, there is an angry patient, and what are you going to do then? And do you
Hmm.
have any experience with that? And yeah, so it was not a very long interview, but I think it was a good interview.
Did you
I mean,
feel that was that your only interview you had, like in person?
in person, yes. The other
Okay.
one were telephone like interviews or Zoom interview.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did they basically tell you at the end of that interview that you will get hired, or did they say you have
No.
no.
Um, I was told that I mean, they will tell me the following week.
Okay.
So yeah,
Did you send like a thank you email or something
yeah,
or oh you
I
did?
did. Yeah.
Ah, very good. Yeah, sound like you did everything the right way and you got hired.
Yeah, so I've been like seeing all these things on LinkedIn and hearing you and other people talking about the interview process and everything. So yes, I was taking mental notes
Wow.
and trying to do everything that I can in my power. And
Was there
let's see.
anything that we did not prepare you for? Like we try to prepare through the videos and through the
What?
academy.
Good question.
Yeah. Was there anything
Well,
that was missing from our preparation?
Is there anything you would,
honestly,
oh,
uh,
sorry. Sorry.
oh no, sorry. I was just saying that honestly, I cannot think of anything as of now. I mean, I don't think I saw whatever interviews that whatever videos that I've seen from you, and all the during the my time in the CRA Academy during that, and then the monthly meetings that they're held. Like I think we were prepared for everything.
Okay.
At least whatever I have experienced. So I was prepared for that. I don't know what others have to say, but like, yeah, in my experience, I was prepared for these things, like what interview questions that I'll be asked. There was nothing that was a surprise for me during the interview process. And even when I went to work, it was all new, but still it felt familiar because I had read about it. So yeah,
Okay.
I cannot think of anything
What was your
that I was
first
not
day
prepared
or your
for.
first week like at the site?
First few days was, I mean, I'm just trying to adjust myself and getting to learn. There was an employee leaving, so
Hmm.
they were trying to teach me as much as I could learn. So it was exciting.
Yeah.
Uh,
A lot to
but
learn, huh? Like a lot
yeah,
of
and it
stuff.
was overwhelming
Yeah.
that, okay, this is there too, this is there too, this is there too, this is there too. So,
See, this is a doctor.
yeah,
They've done overwhelming shit their whole lives.
yeah,
And then they're saying, Pragati saying it's overwhelming as a
yeah,
CRC. And when you're
yeah,
learning everything at once. So that's saying a lot. That's
yeah.
that's saying a lot.
So I'm still overwhelmed sometimes,
Mm.
but then it's a lot better now. I know how to handle situations. Okay, if something is not working, I know where to call, who to talk to, how to handle that. The EDC entries are, I mean, I can do those. That are great.
Yeah.
The charts and everything, yeah, like the source and everything. So yeah, I'm gotten pretty used to doing that.
Have your colleagues
Yeah.
started asking you questions about medical stuff that they don't know?
One of them has, yes. Can you
Yep.
just look at this? This is happening to me. I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
They
that's
have.
good.
Yeah, it's easier to ask a fellow coordinator opposed to grabbing the doctor who's busy doing
Of
doctor
course.
stuff.
Of course.
So first they come
Yeah.
to you,
Yeah.
and then if you say yes, this is important, you need further
Yeah.
clarification or whatever, then they go
Yeah.
seek the doctor. They don't
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
yelled at.
Well, sometimes it's even better. Like the coordinator, remember Chung, our CRC in Anaheim?
Oh yeah.
We had a psychiatrist there. We did psych studies.
Mm,
Chung was a foreign trained cardiologist. And when we did an ECG, even if the PI was there, the PI would sometimes take the ECG to him and say, "What do you think about this?"
yeah,
He's the trained cardiologist.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, yeah, that would happen. Yeah.
Hmm.
Well,
Okay.
like one of my colleagues, he would just come to me, okay, I have this thing in my eye. Do you think it's serious or anything? I'm like, no. Then he's like, my nose is bleeding, and I'm like, okay, you blew it too hard.
Yeah.
Just be gentle, you'll be fine.
Take
Have
two
a
of
good
these
laugh.
and
Have
Yeah.
have a good laugh next time that says, "Oh, that looks like cancer."
Well, that would no.
And of course say, "No, I'm
I
just
know.
kidding."
I know. I mean, having worked in oncology, I mean, that is, well,
Yeah,
that
they
would
would
that's a
take
hold
you
joke.
they would take you
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah.
Oh
that'd
my
hold a
God, I
Like,
lot
got
of
what the
weight.
heck?
cancer.
It'd
No.
hold a lot of weight coming from me. No, Chris is very mean
Well,
colleague.
that I wouldn't like have them go home with that thought, but
I
I might let them
understand.
go for 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
20 minutes. Holy crap.
That's yeah, I
This
wouldn't
guy's
do
a
that
monster.
more than a few seconds. Even
Oh,
if
come
I
on,
get
give
to the
at least
point.
5 minutes.
No, no, 5 minutes you could have a heart attack, man.
Well, I like to have fun.
Chris is definitely a jokester. Um, I think bottom line is you were a good student and you were that before you joined our class because you don't go through medical school without being a good student. You don't get into medical school without being a good student. So there's clearly traits separate, the better students from others, but there's also, like we said, the soft skills and the humility and
It all
hopefully
plays a
the
role.
Yeah.
It all
the
plays a role.
curiosity. So congrats to you.
Thank you so
And
much.
I hope that we continue to connect. I know we will because now we're on LinkedIn and connections, and you've got the whole career ahead of you. Uh,
Mhm.
I would say very bright outlook for you in whatever you want to do. So just
Be,
keep in touch.
Before you end this, Dan,
Yeah.
because you're closing it up, but I'm kind of curious, Pragati,
Mhm.
how much time during the CRA Academy and prior and after would you say you spent going out of your way to investigate other sources? Even Dan on his Guru channel, you said you watched a lot of his videos. You said you read our book. What else did you do, and how much time did you spend? Would you say maybe 5 hours a week just trying to learn other things and gain
That is all I
knowledge?
used to do.
Like all you used to do with
Uh,
your free time?
yeah. I mean, in
Okay.
my free time, I would just try to find out. I had given myself like a few options. Like one was, okay, let's go to college to do a degree and then try to find a job and then or to do some other thing that was like clinical research related, but then where do you go and learn about this? So trying to find that also took some time. When I got across dance videos, I did not know there was an academy. I was just seeing the videos and I was like, okay, this sounds interesting. Let's just know more about it. And the safest thing was to just go to a college and apply for jobs. But
Hmm.
I knew I wasn't ready to get into a college again
Sure.
and then
Yeah.
like stay there for 2 years and again study and then with I don't know when I'm going to get a job. So I wanted to start as soon as possible. That took me some time, but yes, I used to spend like all of my free time in this,
10,
almost.
10,
I
20
mean, if
hours a
I'm
week. What
just,
would you guess? 10, 20 hours a
yeah,
week
yeah, you
watching
would say
Dan's
that.
videos and other
Wow.
Yeah,
resources?
watching the video and then just doing and researching, making a list
Holy
of like,
crap.
okay, if I decide to go to college, okay, let's make a list. Making a list or doing that. Okay, fine, this college, this is what it's going to take me to go there. If I have to move, there's a lot to think.
Hmm.
Because at that time I
That's a
was like
lot.
settled and then settled in Arizona at that time, and then in between we had this move coming up, so we moved here.
You should
Now
have
all
moved to
of that.
Yuma, and then it would have been, you know,
Game over.
That
3 years.
would have been easy. I would have just come to you that I saw a lot of your videos, just hire me.
Yeah, and you would have
Well,
been hired. With
okay.
your
But
background and attitude, you would have been hired.
yeah,
So you spend a
so
lot of time
I did, I did,
researching
I did,
everything.
I did a lot of, I spoke to a lot of people that what were they doing? And well, surprisingly enough, not a lot of people could help me in getting a job in clinical research itself. Like I
Hmm.
know people working into this field, but the role that I was looking for, it was hard for me to explain it to them. I was like, you work in the same field. Why is it so hard for you to understand that what I'm looking for? But some of them did. They even helped me out, but not a lot of them understood. Then that was kind of surprising.
Mm.
But yes, I finally got what I was looking for. It took me some time.
Hmm.
Yeah, 10 hours, 15 hours a week. I would do that every
Nice.
day. Yeah.
Nice. Dedication.
Well, I was lost in
No,
what to
but
do.
but
So need to
knowing,
just, yeah,
sure,
yeah,
knowing what you want and
yeah,
going after
yeah,
it.
yeah. And once when I decided, okay, this is where I want to go, and that kind of became easier.
Sure.
Then it was like, okay, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I need to study, and this is
Once
what
you
I need.
pointed
These are the,
yourself,
yes, these are the roles
calibrated in
that
the
I
right
want to look for.
direction.
Yeah,
Yeah. The hard part's being lost, and that's the
yeah,
problem where that's the part where a lot of people get stuck is
yeah,
they don't know the roadmap and they don't find the videos or whatever, or maybe they find the wrong ones. And they think, okay, well, school, I should go back to school. And especially immigrants do this a lot. I'm an immigrant
yeah,
myself. Our parents instilled in us the answer to everything is more school, like
yeah,
more education. No matter what the question, the answer is more school. So it's like, well, it's a little bit of a false prescription because I mean, there's a lot of value in it, but it's not the most practical way to go about it. And I think that's in the new economy that we're in.
yeah,
It's not a correct prescription. It's actually potentially dangerous because you go into debt, you're wasting more time, and then you're still at the same place you would have been when you come out of it. I mean, you have a degree. Degrees now are not valued as much as unless you have a IMG. I mean, that's
Well,
different.
I both agree and disagree. So what degrees do now is they tell whoever's in human resources looking at this individual in front of them that, well, they can dedicate themselves to spending the necessary time and dedication to something to see it through and finish it.
Correct.
That's
Right.
all it tells them now.
Right.
It doesn't say you're good at this. It doesn't say you even know this topic, right? Because many don't.
No.
So it does play a role. It's just not as substantial as it used to be because it used to tell people, hey, they know this,
There's
right?
a minimal
yeah,
effective dose in our industry. I believe it's a bachelor's degree. Because with that, you can do a CRA. Two of my coordinators don't have a bachelor's. They're very good coordinators. I tell them, like, you're gonna have to do a lot of CRC work to be a CRA, and even then, you're gonna be an exception.
Hmm.
So if you
Hmm.
really want to do that, you should get a bachelor's. That seems like the minimal effective dose. But I have people coming to me with master's degrees, like multiple master's degrees, that can't get a job in research and say, should I get a and I'm like, no, you're literally wasting money and time. That's not your problem. Like the
Hmm.
problem is not more degree. You've proven that you are capable to finish something. You don't need
Yep.
another thing.
Yep. I agree.
yes.
Yeah.
I agree to that too. I mean, that is right.
It's complex, but we're
Yep.
going against a century of an established and,
Hmm.
and especially for immigrants, I'm telling you, immigrants still didn't lose this mentality. Like they come
Well,
here and it's
but that might be
school.
fair. But that might be fair. And the reason I say that is because, at least this is my opinion, there's more conspiracy probably, but I think the educational system has been corrupted in America to a certain degree, where I don't think that's necessarily true in other countries.
Probably right.
That's just my opinion.
I mean, India is an emerging economy, so they probably are focusing on things conducive to that growth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you go to take a degree in India, it's specific to that degree, and you learn everything you can possibly learn
Oh
at
yeah.
school
You
in
take a
regards to that
you take
degree.
a eighth grader in India compared to
Well,
an eighth grader in the US.
what I'm saying though,
Yeah.
here in the US, you go to a university for many other degrees, you learn 1 year of information in relation to your degree and 3 years of crap, right?
Yeah.
My opinion. My
Yeah, it's
opinion.
more like 2 and 2, at least when I went.
I think it's
It's
3 and 1 now, personally. I think it's gotten worse.
no, yeah, maybe now. I did things like philosophy and Greek architecture that I had no interest in. And so I didn't, it was my fault for not getting the value from that. I just kind of skipped through the
Sure.
class just to get over it, right? And now I'm actually interested in philosophy on my own. So
But it's also dependent upon the degree because the degree and yours was similar to mine in terms of it was a science degree.
yeah,
Um, it's more dedicated to the topic, right?
yeah,
So if you're going for a liberal arts degree, forget about it. You're not
yeah.
learning
The
anything of
point is,
value.
though, the point is, I think too many people, when they get stuck and lost, like Pragati was, for finding a job in research, the easy answer is more school. Like, let me just do a 4-year degree, a 2-year degree, because it's kind of been brainwashed into us that this is what's gonna be a good action to take,
Yeah,
where
Hmm.
that's
because
no longer the
there,
case.
oh, sorry, there won't be like any pressure on you for those 2 years to go to
Exactly.
work because I'm in school. I'm not
Yeah.
working because I'm in school. And then
Yeah.
what? You're back to the square one because now you again have to spend that year in finding a job. First
Not only
job is
that, now
always
you're in
going to
debt.
be,
Now you're in debt
yeah,
too. And
yeah,
now you need, in before you did that degree, you can take a lower paying job to get started. Now you can't because they're, oh, well, I need to pay my minimum. Now it just increased by like $500 a month. I mean, that's sometimes it's make or break for these people. And
yeah.
we need to write a book on this one day. Well, anyways, this was a great interview. You've been a
Thank you.
really good sport, Pragati. You're clearly someone that everyone should connect with. And
Hmm.
are you coming to SOS this year?
It's a
I don't think so,
conference in
no.
Oklahoma City.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw
Okay.
about it on I don't
Well, if you
know.
do, make
I mean,
sure
I
and come
should,
say
yeah.
hi to both Dan and I.
Yeah.
I will. I will definitely do that.
It's
Yeah.
driving distance. You're halfway there by the time you
I
get
That's
to
know.
not
Michigan.
driving
Oh no, you're
distance.
going the other direction.
From
Well,
Dallas, it's driving distance.
I can drive to anywhere now. I mean,
Oh
I've
yeah,
been driving
you can
so
drive
much every
anywhere.
day. I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
Message me. We can get you like a free ticket and
if you would like to
Okay.
go.
get you
Yep.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would love to.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Just stay at the
it
Omni
was
Hotel. Okay. No Airbnb. It has
okay.
to be in the Omni, please.
Okay.
All right.
All right. It was lovely doing this interview with you.
No,
And
thank you.
thank you so much for having me and actually starting the academy and teaching so many people like me and helping them to start their career in clinical research. Thank you so much to both of you.
No, thank you for being a good sport and for being a good example of what the students should strive to be like.
Thank you so
Yep,
much.
absolutely. Completely
Everybody
agree
go
with Dan.
connect. Everybody go connect right now. Link underneath the show notes and under the video. Pragati, thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye bye.